Jen here with a layout for Tuesday's inspiration. This is a series that myself and Hollie and Lynda and Mel put out every Tuesday, where we bring you a piece of inspiration and then we use that to create a layout. So I just showed you what the inspiration piece is for this particular layout. It's a little mood board, kind of July summary, I guess you could say, that I created for last week's Tuesday. And essentially it's some components of what my July has been like. So I have Christmas in July, I have Shark Week, I have some road trip images there and a camping kind of, outdoor night sky image. And then I have the monthly flower, I guess you would say, for July. I just thought that they're really pretty and would work for both hemispheres, because the one thing about doing anything kind of seasonal for especially our summer and winter is that Lynda and Mel are in the opposite season to us. So I kind of wanted to make sure that I included stuff that could inspire them no matter what. So that is I'm going to go with mood board. That's what I'm going to call it. My mood board that I created for the inspiration. I said that really weird, didn't I? Inspiration. And so what I'm doing here is I actually have a full video that's like 40 or 45 minutes long that will show you this entire project. But for this video, it's just half of the project. In case you don't have the time to kind of watch the whole thing, you are welcome to watch it in two pieces. And there will be a third piece because I'll do a little kind of flip short, I guess, and put that up too on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube Shorts. But what I'm taking from this inspiration, and maybe, on a very deliberate, not even quite subconscious act, but deliberate act, I wanted to document that in July, I always like to kind of flip-flop between Christmas in July and those like super cheesy Hallmark videos, Hallmark movies, and then Shark Week, because I love sharks. They are my favorite animal. I've been obsessed with sharks since I was a teeny tiny little baby, which is weird because, all my friends, when they were into typical young girl kind of 80s things, I was always into sharks and snakes. I don't know why, but so that's what I'm documenting. And so my original plan was I wanted to create a layout where I would have one layout and then some way to kind of flip back and forth between Christmas and Shark Week. And as I was doing it, I changed my mind. Oh, I think I'm showing you my little cup of sunshine mug. I was definitely drinking a nice cup of coffee and also watching Shark Week. Actually, I'm switching from one show to the other because there's actually Shark Week and Shark Fest, and I kind of flip-flop between the two. Anyways, so my plan was to kind of create something that I figured would probably be interactive that would let me kind of show that I flip between Christmas and Shark Week. And as I was doing it, and off camera mostly, because it was just a lot of me really kind of sitting down and drumming my fingers as I tend to do. And I used to leave a lot more of that in my videos, but now I tend to take that out because why do you guys just want to sit there watching me strum my fingers on the desk thinking? But yes, after a lot of that, I realized the one problem that I was finding it hard to deal with one layout, if I was doing an interactive element like the one that I'm going to do here, which you might be kind of catching on to, is going to be a circle in the center that will spin both ways. I didn't know what to do on the back of that layout. So I decided for this one, since it's the first time I've done an element like this. I've done shaker pockets and I've done those types of things, and, you know, flip outs and tip ins and all of that. But this is the first time I've kind of done something like this on such a big scale. We often see this in cards. It's really fun to, you know, send somebody a card, and as they open it, the little center will spin and have a couple different elements. So it's not a new idea by any means, but I personally have never done one before. And then I'm kind of, you know, upping the scale a little bit. So I wasn't quite sure how it was going to work out. And I kind of thought to myself, if I put this into the middle of my album, because July is kind of in the middle of an album, what do I do on the other side of the layout? And now that I've put this together, I'm definitely doing it again, because what I think I'm going to do is I will include a bunch of journaling and just some of like my favorites from the season, and maybe some of the cool things I learned about sharks or whatever. I'm going to use the whole backside of the next layout to journal and kind of document. Because now that I've put this together, I think that's the one thing I'm missing a little bit, is being able to write down all the cool stuff that I learned. But for this case, for this layout, I am doing 2 layouts back to back with the element in the center. So what you'll see in this video is me creating that center circle. So here you've got that. And then I will do the Christmas side here, and then I will post a second video showing you the shark side. There's a little bit of shark that comes in here just because I had some mixed media I wanted to do. And I'm still at this point not exactly sure how I want things to look. So I kind of flip-flop a little bit. But essentially, to create that center component, I found a circle that I thought would be the right size, that would kind of hold a picture that's about a 4x3 or a 4x4. I wasn't even sure what pictures I wanted to use. And so in the end, I just printed off the posters for this year's Christmas in July from the Hallmark Channel, and then the posters for Shark Fest and Shark Week, and that's what I'll use to document. I've taken pictures of my TV before as I've sort of been watching and documented that way. And I've definitely documented both of these in other Project Life years. So it's always, you know, the test to try to figure out a different way to document. And, you know, that's the creative side of things, where when you are doing the same types of things over and over again, how can you bring new light to it and new creativity and inspiration to it? So I'm just going to go with the posters, because that obviously works really well. You don't need to see my TV 1,000 times in my Project Life albums. So, and here's what I mean by bringing in some Shark Week stuff, because I love to do all my mixed media stuff ahead of time, and then that way everything's drying, and then I can tinker with other things while this is drying. So I had this little Shark Week die cut that I cut many years ago, I think even before we moved to this house. So it's been at least probably 4 or 5 years. And I did a traveler's notebook insert with, or layout, I guess, for Shark Week in 2019. And I used the negative space from that little cut file. And I think I got that cut file. It was definitely from somewhere free. So I'm thinking either Paper Issues or Spiegel Mom Scraps, something like that. Somewhere where they offer either a monthly free cut file or just always free. I don't have the info in front of me just because it has been many, many years since I actually cut that out. But I saved it because I knew at some point I'd want to use it again. So I just went ahead and did a little bit of mixed media on there because I know I'll use it on the other side. But yes, going back to this, I found my circular element that I thought would be the right size, and I just used something that I had from home. I do have a circle, like a bigger circle cutting machine, but I never think to pull it out. It's like a really large one. I think it might be a Martha Stewart one that I got way back when I used to teach scrapbooking at Michael's. So that was like a long time ago, like 2010, 2011, 2012. So a really long time ago. And I just don't tend to pull it out as much. So I found something that I thought would work. I used my craft knife to cut it out because I knew I wanted those inner circles. And so I didn't want to just poke a hole with my scissors and cut out the circle like I might normally do if I was just discarding the centerpiece. So used my craft knife. And then you saw I went back in and just eyeballed it again. If you had a circle cutting machine, you could definitely just go ahead and use that machine. But my idea for it to spin means that that circle has to be, probably at least a quarter of an inch smaller than the larger hole that it's going to sit in. So I just went in and kind of whittled it away with my craft knife. I cut the main circles out and then I stuck everything together so that as I was whittling things away and cutting things away, I was cutting both of them at the same time. So I didn't have to try to do multiple cuts on one and then go back and fix it on the other. But I made sure, if you saw very deliberately, to leave a channel going down the center of my circle. And then also when I glued my pages back to back, I left a channel going down the center of the entire page because eventually I will turn this into an element that hangs in that circle. So if you're putting these together, you could do each page individually and then bring it all together. But I felt like as I started to embellish things, especially on the larger background pages, it might get a little bit hard to then take something that has chipboard and foam and all that kind of stuff and stick it back to back with another layout that also has chipboard and foam and things on it. So just having the two plain pages made the most sense to me to try to stick them together. But just remember to give yourself at least a little bit of space to be able to put those strings in between everything and get your spinning element to work. So I got my papers posted or adhered together. I got my circles stuck together. I did give myself a little bit of washi tape up at the very top of that circle because the Christmas side doesn't really matter. The pattern can go any way, but the shark side has to go the right way in order for it to line up on the paper because there's a background scene on that paper that I'm using for the shark side. So just a tip, if you happen to be doing something similar and you're using two patterned papers and it matters that the pattern is the right way, it's very helpful to go ahead and give yourself some sort of identifier so you know where the top of your circle is supposed to be, because as you're kind of playing around and working with it and adding different elements, and like I do here, you're often popping an element down, seeing if you like it, then moving it, and picking the circle up, putting it back down. You can really quickly lose track of where the top is and what the orientation is. So give yourself that little marker and it will definitely help to make sure that when you flip it on the other side to decorate that side, you are good to go. I could have just done the Shark Week side first, which might have, easily made more sense, but I was waiting for that wet element to dry, so I just decided to go ahead and do the Christmas side. And I felt a little bit more inspired by the Christmas side anyways, because I had so much more to work with. I'm using all of my supplies from last year. So I had a couple of Simple Stories collections and the 49 and Market collection. And I just pulled a few elements from my little Christmas kit that I have put together. But I definitely had more to kind of play around with and work with. And so yeah, I was feeling a bit more inspired to do this side first anyways. But a little something that lets you know where the top of the circle is, if it makes a difference, is definitely a good hint. Especially like this, you have one side where the pattern doesn't matter and one side where it does. And then, so yeah, so I started putting things together, and as I was kind of working on this embellishment cluster, it really felt like there wasn't anything that I had pulled out to embellish with that was standing out nicely on this background paper. And I picked the background paper instead of using the green, which is on the back of this, the B side of this. I think my original intention was to use the green side, but I picked this side because I'm really loving papers that are printed with a black background right now. I don't know what it is. I just really like it. And so I thought I'm going to challenge myself to use this because that paper is not something that I would typically pull as background paper. It's definitely much more something I would pull to maybe use as a layering element. And I'm trying to break some of those habits that I have. And so I thought, no, I am going to go ahead and use that as the background. But I was struggling with giving a nice solid base for some sort of embellishment. And so I went ahead and added that white with some acrylic paint. I think it's a little too heavy-handed. If I had to do this all over again, I might have watered down the white so that it wasn't quite so opaque and it sort of was more of a shadow that just blended the background and kind of pushed it back a little bit. Or maybe I could have used some gesso. I happen to have the acrylic paint beside me, so that's what I went with. But definitely, if you're kind of like, "Woo, Jen, that is a little bold," I would definitely be a lot lighter handed if I were to do this all over again. It's growing on me though, and I do like it. I definitely don't mind it. It kind of gives almost like a snow or a snow globe effect, so I don't mind it as much as I thought I did. And as I've kind of let the layout sit and I can kind of look and admire it, I'm thinking that the white might actually give me a good space to do some journaling because, again, that's the one thing. I feel like I just didn't know where to stick any of that. So I went ahead and did 2 little embellishment clusters. I didn't want to add a bunch of decoration that would take away from the center element, that circle, but I did 2 little embellishment clusters, and then here I'm going to write in July on this corner, and so this will say Merry Christmas in July, and then you'll see in the next video how it kind of works or corresponds with the back side, which is the sharp side. But yeah, that's about it for the Christmas side of things. You can definitely check out my longer video. It will go up as soon as I do part 1 and part 2 here. And yeah, that's it for now. That's where I'm going to leave you with it. But part 2 will be up very shortly so you can see how this kind of finishes out. And thank you. I really appreciate you guys stopping by to check it all out. Please check out Hollie's channel, Mel's channel, and Lynda's channel as we all post as often as we can with our different inspirations. So some weeks you might have all 4 of us, some weeks it might be only 1 or 2 of us, but every week there will be somebody sharing some really fun inspiration, and we all really, really love that you check us out. Subscribe if you haven't already. Find me on Instagram and Facebook as well. And until next time, happy scrapping! Bye!
Thanks to me to my channel.